Beat the holiday blues with all-natural Boswellia Serrata. Everyone experiences the holiday season a little differently. Winter can signify the start of Christmas holidays, and the stress of upcoming financial and social responsibilities that can be anxiety-triggering and overwhelming at the very least. Sounds dramatic? In truth, 14% of Americans admit to experiencing some form of winter blues. So indeed, they are a thing. So what exactly are the holiday blues? How do they differ from seasonal affective disorder, and how can we effectively identify and manage the symptoms? Today, we will examine how plant-based Boswellia Serrata can help to cope with the holiday blues and how it can become part of maintaining a healthy mood and mindset throughout the winter months. Who could tell us about the holiday blues better than someone who actually struggles with them? Kate A. is an academic researcher that has been diagnosed with holiday blues depression. We met in a workshop related to mental health and therapy treatment options, where we had the following conversation. How were you diagnosed with holiday blues depression, and what symptoms lead you to a psychiatric emergency service to seek help? Actually, it is not easy to get a diagnosis for holiday blues depression, she answered. Almost everyone I know who suffers from this depression has had the common belief of trying to wait it out, and that eventually, it will pass. Barbara Hambley is an example of this scenario, as it took several years of depression before she was medically diagnosed with seasonal affective disorder. For me personally, I have started feeling less energetic with a greater tendency to sleep more and spend more time in my bed. However, the more pronounced symptoms are related to my work. I have had problems with motivation and focus, which is unusual for me, and eventually, I called a psychiatric emergency service and they were very helpful. You mentioned that Barbara Hambley was diagnosed with seasonal affective disorder. Is it different from holiday blues? Yes, seasonal affective disorder is one of the few psychiatric conditions with a predictable time of onset and remission. It has a characteristic set of symptoms and responds to a specific treatment, namely bright light. Seasonal affective disorder is developed during autumn or winter months and remitted the following spring or summer, occurring for at least 2 successive years to be diagnosed as depression. Seasonal affective disorder is more of a biological reaction to how the body reacts to an environmental condition and lesser exposure to the sun. The holiday blues, by contrast, is more of a situational reaction or stress reaction than it is biological. This simply means that you may have experienced the loss of a loved one in a previous holiday, so the holiday is somewhat connected to a bad feeling that you remember every holiday. Furthermore, the ongoing stress from social engagements and a busier schedule that includes relatives and close family can also be particularly anxiety and stress-inducing. Many times, this is also coupled with feelings of financial stress and obligation of having to buy gifts for everyone you're spending the holidays with. Luckily, symptoms of the holiday blues are often much milder than symptoms of seasonal affective disorder, which may be associated with difficulty in remembering things or experiencing anxiety and anger, as well as a strong desire for isolation. As a success story of overcoming depression, what helped you the most? First and most importantly, part of the treatment was simply hope. And as Dwayne Johnson The Rock, who suffered from a bad depression period, said, one of the most important things you should realize in depression is that you're not alone. The second tactic which helped me was to plan ahead before the holidays. Knowing how I will spend most of my time, including managing family parties, is very important. My own plan was to spend more time with close friends and family members and avoid being alone altogether. This prevents me from overthinking everything and revisiting the triggering memory of losing my mom in a previous holiday. I think the latter was a major factor that contributed to my holiday depression in the first place. Thirdly, I wanted something to relieve my own pains, but free from the over-reliance on pharmaceuticals and their endless list of cautions and side effects. For this reason, I looked for a natural, plant-based option to manage my mood. Luckily, my search guided me to Boswellia Serrata extract, and it was a good choice for me. As a pharmacologist myself, I know that Boswellia Serrata is a very effective choice for improving your mood, and I shared with her a bit more information about this effective remedy used in Ayurvedic medicine. Why is Boswellia an effective option for managing the holiday blues? Boswellia Extract, also known as frankincense, is an all-natural herb used historically in Ayurvedic practices that were closely related to religious and cultural ceremonies. Like almost every herb, the traditional use for it was based on a trial-and-error basis far removed from scientific approval that has taken place after many years of labs testing, experiments, and clinical trials. In the 11th century, Avicenna mentioned the use of frankincense in inflammation and infection of the urinary tract and suggested that it is beneficial for dementia and amnesia. In Ayurveda, the Indian medical tradition, Boswellia resin was reported to have caused a strong effect on the nervous system. Later on, the effects of Boswellia Serrata were put to the test by many research groups that focused on boswellic neuroactive ingredients. Its robust anti-inflammatory and neuroprotective effects were found to be attributed to insensilyl acetate, which was found to exert anxiolytic, antidepressant, and sedative effects in preclinical studies. Boswellia's mechanism of action. Boswellia is assumed to elucidate such central neuronal effects by modulating the TRPV3 channel, transient receptor potential on channels that are involved in the transduction of a wide variety of sensations. So being involved in such neuronal effects implies that TRPV3 channels in the brain may play a role in emotional regulation. Furthermore, some researchers point to insensilyl acetate as a novel anxiolytic and antidepressant agent and concluded that although anti-anxiety and antidepressant drugs have evolved, new types of such drugs are needed in order to provide alternatives for people who experience adverse side effects of pharmaceutical options. By contrast, herbal medicine in general and insensilyl acetate in particular, does not cause any known adverse side effects in humans. Ironically, after almost 40 years of research, the historical traditions of thousands of years ago have been approved by modern science, which in turn widens our insights to look for novel physics-active drugs. Summary. In conclusion, if you are suffering from feelings of anxiety due to the upcoming holidays or facing discomfort this time of year, you could try Boswellia Serrata as a way to manage these symptoms. Amandean Premium Boswellia Serrata Extract is a trusted product and brand which uses Boswellia extract from the premium third harvest of gum resin. This is characterized by being one of the purest sources and contains a potent minimum of 65% boswellic acids.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more wellness inspiration.